morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is. Welcome to Tech for Senior. This is October 30th. Tomorrow's Halloween. Hopefully everyone's going to have a good time and there'll be lots of little people running around. Not so many people come to our place anymore. So, but anyway, it's a fun time and it should be a nice evening for the kids. This is Tech for Senior. We'll be, of course, thank you for coming, and we do appreciate you being here. It's your support and continued encouragement that keeps us going with all the videos. As you know, we also have a Thursday show, which we'll be having this week, and it's not a Zoom meeting. This is a Zoom meeting, which you, of course, all are here, which is recorded out to YouTube. But our Thursday show, of course, is not a Zoom meeting. It is we run it through StreamYard, and it goes to, of course, our Facebook page and YouTube. So if you want to have some fun, please come and join us on Thursday. And if you have problems finding it, if you go to our website, www.techforsenior.com, it will for sure show you how to get there. We have a great show for you today. As I said, I remembered to get the notes organized. So if you click on notes in the bottom, should be able to see the shared document that shows the notes for our meeting today. We're going to be starting, of course, with my introduction, and then Bob, of course, is going to talk about security news update and some phishing. Then Huey's going to talk about how to wipe and restore your Windows PC. Hopefully you save your files before you do that. I'm going to talk about the third in a series of purchase considerations for an Apple device today. This will be my third and final in the series that I'm doing. And then Bob is going to talk about 6 computer noises that you need to know about. Ker-chunk, 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 like an engine. And I guess you have to sort of be a little bit worried about that. So he's going to talk about that. And of course, Ray has his music outro. And then we're going to move on to the Premiere service, which runs at ℏ I'll put the link in the show notes and in the chat. But we're going to talk about, Huey's going to talk about streaming services to your TV, part 2. I'm going to talk about Flight Radar 24, which is a fun app that's free, and you should have that on your phone. And Bill James, of course, is going to talk on Windows tips, and this will all be at ℏ so we'll be able to get that done for you. I want to thank 2 people today. Thank you for supporting us. We had 2 donations come in today, one from Richard Vogel and the other from Naomi Saunders. So thank you so much for the donations that you did. It really helps us. We still have bills each month to pay, so we look forward to getting any financial help that we can get. So thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. All right, now, before we move on to introducing everyone, I want to tell everyone a bit of a story that happened this week, which I think really should make everybody sit up and take notice of what Bob says. Now, every week, Bob talks about security and phishing and what happens, and we talk about it a lot, and you think people would get it. So I wanted just to tell you briefly about a story that happened this week at Silver Ridge. Greg and I go back, of course, to our Silver Ridge days when I lived in Arizona for the winter. Now, this couple that I know that are very good friends of ours, I guess they're seniors, and they're sort of not bad with tech. I mean, I think from osmosis they hang around with techie people a lot. So by osmosis, I think they actually do pretty good. So anyway, to make a long story short, they arrived at their home in Arizona, flew down and arrived there, and of course ordered a bunch of stuff and got things going for their home. Now, after a busy day, they were very tired. They came in, and about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he was checking her email and got an email from UPS saying that they couldn't find their place to deliver this package. And now that is not an uncommon email. Just Greg will know this, and maybe Byron, who is also here today, is at this resort that we lived at. The naming system of the numbers for about 700 homes in this area was crazy. Like it was, nobody knew where anything was. It was just not possible to figure it out unless you had a map. So it was not unusual. So when delivery people couldn't find packages. So this is quite a normal email that she'd get. So it said, phone here to confirm the delivery. So she phoned and confirmed the delivery, and she talked to the individual at UPS and said, look, this is our site. This is where we live. You know, you come in the front gate, you turn left, and here we are, right? So he said, no problem. He says, we'll have that parcel out just soon. He said, oh, by the way, there's $4.13 owing on it. And she said, what? And he said, yeah. She said, why is there something owing? He said, taxes. And she's taxes. And he said, well, are you Canadian? And she said, yes. And he said, well, that explains it. So she said, okay. And she just was tired at the end of the day. She said, I'll just pay the $4.13. So she gives him the credit card. She pulls out her credit card and she gives the credit card number and all the security information. And he says that it won't go through, invalid card. So she says, what do you mean invalid card? I just used this. And he says, well, it's not working. Can you give me another card? So she pulls out her second credit card and gives him all the information on that. All right. And he said, same error. It's not working. He says, are you Canadian? And she said, yes. He says, well, do you have an American card? She says, well, my husband's got one. So she goes in the other room, grabs her husband's wallet, pulls out his card. She goes and gives all the information to the UPS person on the other end. And he said, look, lady, this one doesn't go through either. Do you have any more cards? And she said, no, that's it. And she said, well, he says, I can't do anything, because she's, never mind, I'm going to go down to the UPS store and solve this problem. So she hung up. She printed off the receipt and went down to this UPS store. And of course, they immediately said, it's a scam. You know, there was no parcel, no package. You just gave your 3 credit cards all the information. So she had to go and cancel all those 3 cards, of course. And the problem is you sort of live in a cashless society. So they're a little bit difficult living for the next week until they get their new cards, right? Because you don't have any money. So anyway, so when Bob talks about this, and he talks about phishing, he talks about all the things we're talking about, please listen, please remember that sometimes you know, this is real stuff that happens to real people all the time. So please pay attention to that. Hewie, are you let me just introduce everybody. Of course, Hewie Poplock is here today. At least he is so far. Let me take my remove the spotlight. Let me take my spotlight off there, Hewie.
I'm still here.
You're still here. They haven't unconnected you yet.
Nope. What I'm concerned about, I'm waiting for the ASP to show up, and they're liable to check wires outside first. And so they might disconnect to put a meter or something on. And so if I disappear, that's what happened.
All right. So I've got your you'll play your article unless of course you don't, then I've got it as well.
Unless I'm not here. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Bob, we're going to look forward to what we're going to listen real carefully what you have to say.
I hope so. I hope you've been doing it right along. Otherwise, I've been doing a whole lot of talking for nothing.
All right. Well, we do appreciate and thank you so much for doing all the work you do. We will take that to heart. But you know, this really demonstrates how easy it is to get caught, right? These people are very good.
They're also very gullible. You don't ever have to pay something in addition to.
Okay? Oh, I know.
That's one of the tricky things,
right? But you don't think about this at the the end of the day when the battle's on. You just don't think about those things, right?
Especially when they tell you it's only $4.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. Get rid of this thing, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
If it was a penny, it's 1 penny too many, because it's never asked for. It's never ever due.
Exactly. And Ray, how are you today? You're back in the saddle. You're happy after your trip?
I'm almost caught up with life. Still a little bit more things to do, but it was 39 here this morning, so we're now getting a little bit close to that freezing. And I have a system I follow. I don't turn on the heat until November, so we got one more day to go.
I see you've got your long sleeve shirt on and an undershirt, and you're looking very, very cozy there.
Here is my security news roundup for the week ending October 27th, 2023. Okta's support system breach exposes customer data to unidentified threat actors. Identity services provider Okta on Friday disclosed a new security incident that allowed unidentified threat actors to leverage stolen credentials to access its support case management system. The threat actor was able to view files uploaded by certain Okta customers as part of a recent support case. David Bradbury, Okta's chief security officer, said, "It should be noted that the Okta support case management system is separate from the production Okta service, which is fully operational and has not been impacted." The company also emphasized that its ℎ𝕠𝕠𝕟 case management system was not impacted by the breach, noting that it has directly notified customers who have been affected. Read more at thehackernews.com. FCC is threatening to completely cut off 20 companies for alleged robocall abuse. The Federal Communications Commission is cracking down hard on robocallers and any telecommunications provider allowing such traffic on their network. The agency released a list of 20 companies that face getting cut off from the rest of the telecom world for supposed abuses related to robocalls. The robocall response team on October 16th released a list of 20 new Enforcement Bureau orders to remove the non-compliant providers from the robocall mitigation database. Read more at courtcartersnews.com. Amazon and Microsoft team up to crack down on impersonation scams and tech support fraud. Industry titans Amazon and Microsoft are going after cybercriminals who pose as representatives of trusted brands to defraud customers. With the two companies' help, India's Central Bureau of Investigation on Thursday said it had conducted a series of raids in multiple cities in India against illegal call centers. The operators were pretending to be Microsoft and Amazon customer support. The call centers had impacted over 2,000 Amazon and Microsoft customers in the US, Australia, Canada, Germany, Spain, and the United Kingdom, according to Amazon. Read more at courtcartersnews.com. iOS zero-day attacks. Experts uncover deeper insights into Operation Triangulation. The triangulation database implant used to target Apple iOS devices packs in at least 4 different modules to record microphone, extract iCloud keychain, steal data from SQLite databases used by various apps, and estimate the victim's location. The new findings come from Kaspersky, which detailed the great lengths the adversary behind the campaign, dubbed Operation Triangulation, went to conceal and cover up its tracks while clandestinely hovering sensitive information from the compromised devices. On October 25, 2023, Apple extended patches for the kernel security flaw to older devices as part of iOS 15.8 and iPad OS 15.8 updates, noting that the issue may have been actively exploited against versions of iOS released before iOS 15.7. Read more at thehackernews.com. Eye leakage. New Safari exploit impacts Apple iPhones and Macs with A- and M- series CPUs. A group of academics has devised a novel side-channel attack dubbed eye leakage that exploits a weakness in the A- and M- series CPUs running on Apple iOS, iPad OS, and Mac OS devices, enabling the extraction of sensitive information from the Safari web browser An attacker can induce Safari to render an arbitrary web page, subsequently recovering sensitive information present within it using speculative execution, the researchers said in a new study. In a practical attack scenario, the weakness could be exploited using a malicious web page to recover Gmail inbox content and even recover passwords that are auto-filled by credential managers. Read more at thehackernews.com. ℍ𝕖𝕚 app exposes user data. ℍ𝕖𝕚, an in-home hospitality app, left a database accessible without password protection, exposing almost 170,000 records containing private user data. Residents using the platform get an app-based personal assistant service for their apartments. A designated ℍ𝕖𝕚 employee handles the residents' home-related inquiries, such as managing weekly shopping, in-home delivery, or picking up dry cleaning. On September 19th, researchers discovered that the platform exposed sensitive user data. The leaked information include a treasure trove of useful information for the hackers, to the detriment of the platform's users. Read more at cybernews.com. Ex-NSA employee pleads guilty to leaking classified data to Russia. A former employee of the U.S. National Security Agency has pled guilty to charges accusing him of attempting to transmit classified defense information to Russia. Jara Sebastian Dalkey, 31, served as an information systems security designer for the NSA from June 6, 2022 to July 1, 2022, where he had top-secret clearance to access sensitive documents. The latest development come more than a year after his arrest. Dalkey admitted that between August and September 2022, in order to demonstrate both his legitimate access and willingness to share, he used an encrypted email account to transmit excerpts of 3 classified documents to an individual he believed to be a Russian agent, the U.S. Department of Justice said in a Monday press release. Read more at thehackernews.com. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Phishing attacks can come in the form of emails, text messages, or phone calls. The more you know about phishing attacks, the better equipped you will be to spot and avoid them. Please watch my video on that topic at the link listed. Did you know? The inventor of the microwave didn't make any money off his invention, except for the $2 bonus he got from the company he worked for when he invented it. Instead of mowing their lawn, Google rents goats to eat the grass at their Mountain View headquarters. CAPTCHA is a long acronym. It stands for Completely Automatic Public Turing Tests to tell computers and humans apart. The man who views the world at 50 the same as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life, thanks to Muhammad Ali. Just thought you might want to know. And that's a wrap for this week's Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening. Phishing is a type of online fraud that attempts to trick users into revealing confidential information, such as passwords, credit card numbers, or social security numbers. Phishing attacks can come in the form of emails, text messages, or phone calls. Phishing emails are often disguised as messages from legitimate companies, such as banks, credit card companies, or government agencies. The emails may contain links that, when clicked, take the user to fake websites that look like the real websites of the legitimate companies. Once the user enters their personal information on the fake website, the phisher can steal it. Phishing text messages and phone calls may also be disguised as messages from legitimate companies. The messages may contain links or phone numbers that, when clicked or called, connect the user to phishers. Here are some tips on how to avoid phishing attacks. 1. Be wary of unsolicited emails, text messages, and phone calls. If you receive a message from a company that you don't have an account with, or from a company that you haven't contacted recently, it's probably a phishing attack. 2. Never click on links in emails or text messages. If you need to visit a website, type the URL directly into the web browser's address bar. 3. Be suspicious of emails and text messages that ask for personal information, such as your password, credit card number, or social security number. Legitimate companies will never ask for this information via email or text message. 4. Hover over links in emails and text messages to reveal the actual URL. If the URL doesn't match the company that the message is supposedly from, it's a phishing attack. 5. Keep your software up to date. Software updates often include security patches that can help protect you from phishing attacks. 6. Use strong passwords and enable multi-factor authentication for all of your online accounts. If you think you may have been the victim of a phishing attack, contact the company that the phishing email or text message was supposedly from immediately. You should also change your password and enable multi-factor authentication for all of your online accounts if you haven't done that yet. Here are some additional tips that can help you avoid phishing attacks. 1. Be careful about what information you share online. Phishers can use information from your social media accounts to create more convincing phishing attacks. 2. Be aware of current phishing scams. Phishers often target people with scams that are related to current events or popular topics. 3. Educate yourself about phishing attacks. The more you know about phishing attacks, the better equipped you will be to spot them and avoid them. Stay safe, stay secure. Phishing is fun. Being phished is not. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
Well, hope everyone listened carefully, Bob.
Me too.
Yeah, Ron, you need to send that to Silver Ridge.
I know. Well, they don't have a computer club anymore, and they don't have my newsletter. So what can I say? For sure, that's a big problem. All right, so Hewie, are you still on the internet?
I still am.
Oh,
although it restarted one time, but let's see. How to wipe and restore your Windows PC. A guide to resetting your PC to factory fresh state. I'm Hewie Poplock. Back up important files. Copy files to an external storage and use cloud storage for backup. Backing up important files to an external device like a hard drive, a flash drive, or cloud storage protects your data from loss if your main computer fails. First, get a backup drive with enough capacity and connect it to your computer. Use your operating system's tools or backup software to select and copy the files you want to preserve. Schedule regular, recurring backups and store the drive somewhere safe when not in use. Occasionally restore files from the backup to verify it works. Following this backup process ensures you have copies of valuable files and can restore them if anything happens to your computer's original data. Make a habit of periodic backups, including new and changed files for full protection. Cloud services like Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive provide easy automated backup of your important PC files off-site over the internet. Simply sign up for cloud service, install their app on your computer, select your folders to continuously back up, and the service will automatically upload new and changed files online. Cloud Backup allows access to your files from anywhere, shared file access, version history, and protection if your local PC fails. Check that files are uploading correctly. Set a backup schedule through the installed app and access your cloud files from any device by logging into your account online. Cloud Backup combined with local external hard drive backups provides a comprehensive protection strategy for your critical PC data. Reset Windows. Go to Settings, System, Recovery, reset this PC. Select Get Started. Choose to keep no files. Clean the hard drives. Use a disk utility like dban. Overwrite the entire hard drive with zeros. Wipe all data, including Windows installation. Here are some good options for apps to securely wipe a PC hard drive. dban, which is Derek's Boot and Nuke, is free wiping utility that boots from a USB and completely erases a hard drive by overwriting data with random data. Eraser is a free open source tool that overwrites data to make sure it's unrecoverable. It allows targeted erasing of only certain files or a full drive wipe. HDD Erase, bootable ISO that provides multiple wipe options, including government standards like DoD 5220.22m for secure data destruction. The key when securely erasing a hard drive is to use multiple overwrite passes and verify the wipe to ensure no original data can be recovered. Be sure to research the proper procedure for your needs. Reinstalling Windows. Boot from the Windows Install USB drive. Install fresh copy of Windows on wiped hard drive, and then follow a clean install steps to set up a new user account. Create Windows install. To create an installable copy of Windows, you can use the Media Creation tool for Windows 10 or Windows 11 from Microsoft. Uninstall manufacturer's bloatware. Remove unnecessary pre-installed apps, uninstall bloatware from the PC, and get rid of apps you don't need. Update Windows and drivers. Install the latest Windows updates. Visit manufacturer's website for driver updates. And then remove personal information from the BIOS. Enter BIOS setup utility, erase saved profile information, and disable all profiles. This is part of a series, How to Dispose of Your Old Tech Responsibly. I'm Hewie Poplock. There are other videos in this series, and they're listed on your screen. This has been How to Wipe and Restore Your Windows PC. It's a guide to resetting your PC to factory fresh state. I'm Hewie Poplock.
Thanks, Hewie. Good information. I can't see you. Where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, are you? You must be on another screen. Oh, I guess because you went out and came back in. I'll have to move you up. Okay, well, the next one we're going to talk about is purchase considerations for an Apple device. This is a video I've made, and it's one of a three-part series. You've seen the first, which was purchase considerations for a PC. The second was purchase considerations for a Chromebook. And this is the third and final one on purchase considerations for an Apple device.
Our two themes are coinciding, because I'm telling how to take care of your old machine. You're talking about how to find the new one.
Right. In light of the fact that, of course, the big buying time now coming up with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Christmas is when most of these devices will be sold. So, right, we're going to be seeing a lot of turnover, and I love spending people's money. So this is great. All right. So let's have a look and see what I had to say. It is October of 2023. And as we move into November, we're going to have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, and most of the electronics sold will be sold in these 2 or 3 months. So I've decided to make 3 videos: purchase considerations for a PC, purchase considerations of a Chromebook, and purchase considerations for your Apple device. And that is this video, purchase considerations for your Apple device. I'll put the link down below for the other 2 that have already been made. I'm Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we make videos to help seniors understand technology and help with their health. Everyone on staff at Tech for Senior is a volunteer, so we sure appreciate that. Like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. So there are 3 things that you need to know before purchasing your Apple device. The first is Apple makes all their own software and hardware. So unlike in the PC market where you might have ASUS, Hewlett-Packard, Dell, in the Apple world, only Apple makes and sells their hardware and software. So you will be buying your Apple device from an Apple store. The second thing you need to know is that unlike PCs and other makers that have a variety of chips, you've probably heard about i3, i5, i7, i9, Apple makes their own chip. And it's real easy to remember. It's M1, M2, and M3. And yes, M1 was the first, and M3 is the latest. So very simple, M1, M2, M3. One of the things you have to be careful about is that was not always the case. And in the past, Intel has made some chips for the Apple devices. Now, all the modern lineup that they have now all has their modern chips in it. So if you are purchasing an older device, maybe a refurbished device, please make sure that it does not have one of the Intel chips in it, because this is certainly going to be a problem as we move forward with the Apple software. So the third thing you need to know about Apple devices is that the Apple software really doesn't like to play with other software. So if you are going to purchase an Apple device, it's really important that you, for best results, that you stick within the Apple group of devices. So let's look at the most popular Apple device, and that, of course, is the iPhone. Now, if you live in the United States, about 67% of all new phones last month were iPhones. And I read an article the other day that said, is there a future for Android? Because the sales of iPhone goes up steadily. And whatever the reason, it's not a criticism, Americans just love their iPhones. Now, if you look at other parts of the world, such as Europe, Southeast Asia, India, in those countries, about 1/3 of the sales of new phones are iPhones. But for some, it's not a criticism, but for some reason in the United States, Americans love iPhones, which means when we're talking and giving seminars, we need to know that roughly 2/3 of the audience is going to have an iPhone. So yes, they are very popular. And that leads me into the first device that you might want to add to your iPhone, and that is an iPad. Now, iPads have been around for a very long time. They're sold worldwide. They're easily configurable. They're sold for under $1,000, and they're great. And they will actually provide most of the computer needs for most people. Now, you're going to say, hey, it's a tablet. I don't want a tablet. I want something with a keyboard. Well, you can add a keyboard to an iPad, click it in, and away you go. There's third parties that make those. Also, if you want a bigger monitor, you can plug a big monitor into your iPad. So I think that if you're looking for another device other than your phone, I think you should consider an iPad as your first choice. Now, you may also want to consider another device made by Apple called the Mac Mini. Now, in the prior two videos that I made, we talked about the NUC, N-U-C PC, which again is a device in which you plug peripherals into. When we did the Chromebook video, we talked about Chrome boxes. Again, the same idea. Both those two devices, not that popular, but the Mac Mini is the same idea. It is a box in which the Mac software runs. You can configure it to different processors and speed and RAM, etc. And you can plug all your own peripheral devices into it. These sell for starting under $800, so you can get a great machine for under $1,000 with all the hardware and software. I have a good friend, Jim Gould, who has a very popular show called The Button Show on Sunday with his wife, Chris, and he has a studio and runs all his production studio broadcasting equipment on a Mac Mini. So they are great machines. And again, it is easy to get into the Apple environment for under $1,000 because you're going to add your own monitor, keyboards, and a mouse to this as you just plug it into the device. Now, you may be considering purchasing an Apple laptop. And for this, you have basically two choices. You have a MacBook Air, which starts at about $1,000 and is customizable to some degree. And you have a MacBook Pro, which starts at around $1,300 US and is very customizable. So you have these two machines. So what's the difference and which one should you choose? Well, a MacBook Air, I'm not going to say is an entry-level machine, but it would be more for a student. It is somewhat customizable. The MacBook Pro is an amazing machine. It's a little more money and starts around $1,300, but is very customizable, again, depending on how much RAM, the size of the screen, and all the things that you want to incorporate in that. I'm not going to go into all the specifics of that because that's on the Apple website and you can go there and look at the pricing. However, you should really understand the difference between these two machines. And I have a personal preference for you. So here's my tip. This summer, I was tasked with buying my daughter an Apple laptop. I did a lot of research on this and eventually chose to buy her the MacBook Pro. She's in the education field and really enjoys it and really enjoys her computer. When I was researching the two, I went to Best Buy and I actually had both in my hand. I had the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, and I actually held them, one in my right hand and one in my left hand. And it was quite obvious that the MacBook Pro was a different machine. It was much heavier. You could feel that it was just a quality build as compared to the MacBook Air. So these are very different machines. Also, if you upgrade the MacBook Air to the same specifications that you have with the MacBook Pro, then you're pretty darn close to the MacBook Pro pricing. Now, when I asked my daughter if she had a choice, she said she'd heard a lot of problems at their school with the MacBook Airs, particularly with the battery capacity. I said, "How are you doing?" She said, "Great." I said, "Well, how's the battery working out for your MacBook Pro?" She says, "I use it all week long and hardly ever have to charge it." Now, her husband at the same time bought a MacBook Air, and he has yet to get a whole day through without charging it. So he's very unhappy with it. So these machines are quite different. Take them, look at them, feel them. If you're going to budget out 5 to 7 years for this purchase, it's a good, both machines are excellent machines and are going to last you for a very long time. I think if you budget out for 5 to 7 years, there's very little difference in price. So I would encourage you to look at the MacBook Pro. I think you're going to be more happy. It's more of a versatile machine, and certainly the battery life is much better. For those of you wanting a standalone computer, of course, there is the iMac. These start at around $1,300 in the United States and go up depending on how you configure them. They're great machines. I think they're excellent value. They come with a great camera, microphone, and speakers. There are plenty of apps that work with it, and the machines are very versatile. These all work well with your iPhone, and I think are an excellent product. So you'll want to round out your Apple experience with an Apple Watch, and I'll put the link below for some of the videos I've made about Apple Watches. So in summary, Apple makes great equipment, they have great software, and enormous success. Yes, they are more expensive, but I think you're getting good quality and longevity in your purchase. The only advice I can give you is you want to make sure that all these devices work well. Try to stay within the Apple line of devices, and you'll find that the communication and how they all communicate and work together will be much better for you. All right. Excuse me. If we have any questions, we can deal with that in the Q&A. Bob, go ahead.
In the past, computers made all sorts of mechanical and electronic noises as a normal part of how they worked. But there are some noises a modern computer should never make. If you hear any of these, pay attention. A special thanks to Sidney Butler of How to Geek for his excellent article on this topic. You'll find his article at the link listed. Whine. Sometimes benign, sometimes not. A high-pitched whine can be the equivalent of your computer saying, "I'm stressed out." Usually, this is a symptom of coil whine, which happens when electrical components vibrate under load. Most often it's benign, but it can indicate poor quality components that may give out sooner than expected. If you hear coil whine only under high stress, such as video recording, it's probably nothing to worry about. And if you hear it while gaming, you probably need to turn on VSync or another form of frame rate limiter to prevent your computer from rendering too many frames. However, if you hear persistent coil whine from a component, it's probably worth exchanging it under warranty or having it checked out by a professional. Buzzing fans. They're on their way out. The soothing white noise of computer fans is usually a good sign. It means your system is keeping its cool. However, when that soothing noise becomes a buzzing drone, you got a problem. This is often due to dust buildup on the fan blades or worn-out bearings, making them less effective and more audible. Get yourself a can of compressed air and give your fans a good cleaning, and if that doesn't work, they're usually not that expensive to replace. If the fans on your GPU or CPU cooler are making sickly mechanical noises, it can be a little more tedious to repair or replace them. But if they stop working, you'll wish you had taken care of the problem sooner. Ticking fans. They're smacking something besides air. If your fan is ticking like a metronome, it's not getting ready to drop a sick beat. It could indicate that the fan blades are hitting something, like a wire. If not fixed, your fan could eventually fail, leaving your components without adequate cooling. In some instances, a fan may end up slicing open a wire, which could cause a short circuit or even a fire. Open up your machine and make sure there are no obstructions. Clicking hard drive. Back up your data immediately. If you have a computer with no mechanical hard drives and only solid-state drives, it won't be clicking from the drive because there are no moving parts. If you hear clicking, it's likely an issue with the fans. But if you have a mechanical hard drive and you hear it, you should be concerned. A clicking sound coming from your hard drive is like the death knell of a sinking ship. It's a clear indicator that your hard drive is failing. Make sure to back up your data immediately and replace the hard drive immediately. It's just a matter of time before the entire thing gives out, taking your data with it. Creaks, snaps, and pops, especially in laptops. If you hear these sounds, particularly in a laptop, they could be due to thermal expansion and contraction of internal parts. The occasional groan or creak is one thing, especially if your computer or monitor is heating up in a cold room or vice versa, cooling off at the end of a gaming session or such. While some level of these noises is normal, any significant change should cause concern. It might be due to structural damage or weakening components, especially if the protesting computer is a laptop. Loud pops, creaks, or snapping noises when you operate the screen hinge is a big warning sign, and this is a common point of laptop failure. If the hinge starts making a racket, do your best to minimize the number of times you open and close the lid. It's best to let a pro check out the machine. Whistling or a sizzling sound. Something is cooking. Whistles and sizzles are particularly dangerous. A faint coil whine is one thing, but if your computer starts making a distinct high-pitched whistling sound, like there's a tiny kettle hidden away inside somewhere, it's time for immediate action. The same goes for any sort of sizzling sound. If your laptop battery or your desktop's power supply starts making these noises, switch off the device and disconnect it from the electrical outlet immediately. These sounds often indicate an electrical issue that could result in a fire. Contact the manufacturer or a professional service center for an immediate inspection. When in doubt, get the laptop out of your office or residence and place it in a fireproof container. Our computers usually tell us when they're not feeling well. These noises are your first warning that it's time to look under the hood before a minor issue becomes a major meltdown. A little proactive care can go a long way in avoiding system failures and potential data loss. So the next time your computer starts to make its own music, don't just tune it out. It might be trying to tell you something important. Stay safe, stay secure, and the only noise you should hear is your fingers on the keyboard. It means you're being productive. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks, Bob. I can tell you that clicking sound with a hard drive failure, I will never forget that sound. About 7 years ago, I had a failure. Well, I didn't have SSDs back then, but that clicking sound was the start of a very serious hard drive failure. So I remember that real well.
Yeah, and if you don't pay attention, you wind up losing everything. So
I know if you hear that clicking sound, don't shut your computer off. Immediately start backing up your files, because if you shut it off,
it may not start again.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
That's true. So
Then
anyway, thanks a lot.
That. Yep.
Good information. Good information. All right. This is a time when we move on to the music segment, and I'm going to say goodbye to our YouTube group. Thank you so much for coming. Don't forget, we have our premiere video at ℏ and also if you wish to come and talk to us again on Thursday, come to our Thursday show. So we'll be stopping the live stream now. And if you want to come over and watch, participate in the Q&A, pop over. We've got lots of room in our Zoom meeting. All right, let me just stop this. And then what I want to do, Stop the live stream. There we go. So just before Ray gets going, I said Ray gave me permission. I'm going to have a couple of minutes of his time. I found a really interesting video but it's a commercial video, but it's only 2 minutes. It was very interesting about drones and where we are right now with drones. And this is produced by a company called Wings. Now, Wings is a big international company. They have a lot of overseas operations, but they particularly have the one in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where they do drone delivery for Walgreens and a number of services in that area. And it's quite interesting to see the development that's happened. So I just wanted to play this video before Ray starts his music segment. It's really interesting. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I don't know if we have anyone that's listening today that's actually had a delivery from a drone. That would be an exciting thing to talk about and interesting in the Q&A. But apparently in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you get packages from Walmart, there is a good chance that it could be delivered by drones. Go ahead, Ray.
Colleen Carter. She's continuing the musical legacy of the Carter family. Now, the following in quotation marks comes from Google Bard. Colleen Carter is an American country music singer and songwriter. She's the daughter of June Carter Cash and her first husband, Carl Smith, and the granddaughter of Maybelle Carter of the Carter family. Carter began her career in the late 1970s with a series of albums that combined rock and country influences. She achieved some success in the UK, but her music was ahead of its time in the US. She took a break from music in the early 1980s to deal with personal issues, but returned in the late 1980s with a more traditional country sound. Now, Carter's biggest commercial success came in 1990 with the album I Fell in Love, which spawned the top 10 hits Every Little Thing and I Fell in Love. She has continued to record and perform throughout the 1990s and 2000s, remains a respected figure in the country music community. In addition to her own career, Carter has also collaborated with many other artists, including her mother, her stepfather, Johnny Cash, and sister, Roseanne Cash. She's also a successful songwriter, having written songs for artists such as Emmylou Harris, Waylon Jennings, and Tammy Wynette. Carter is a Grammy Award nominee and a member of the Grand Ole Opry. She's also a recipient of the American Music Association's Trailblazer Award. Now, it's no secret that my favorite musical performer of all time is Dion. No, not Celine, but Dion DiMucci, whose first top 40 hit, I Wonder Why, as the lead singer of Dion and the Belmonts, helped start his musical career in 1958, which continues today. 1958, that's 8 decades and counting. I can count on one hand the rock and roll singers from the 1950s that are still releasing new material today. Dion, at the age of 84, is one of those, and I'm going to showcase his latest release with Colleen Carter titled An American Hero. Dion says it's a song about the ordinary person being a hero and championing the cause of people around them. 84 years old.
Great choice.
Amazing. All right. That's it for today. Huey's already left. He's getting his internet unplugged and replugged in. We have, of course, at hour, we have our premiere event for you. Huey's going to talk about streaming services. I'm going to talk about Flight Radar, which you should have as an app on your phone if you travel. And Bill's going to talk on Windows tips. So that'll be all coming up at the hour. If we'll move into the question and answer period, we had a big show today with lots of stuff on there. If anyone has any questions, this is the time to ask, and we're all ears, right, Bob?
Sometimes we're all ears. Sometimes we're all mouth.
All right, Hurry, question.
I just want to make sure my microphone was working.
Yeah, we got background noise.
My microphone not working?
We have some
Oh,
background
okay.
noise from
Yeah,
it.
I don't. I'm just trying it with my iPhone with my Chromebook in the public room here. So I'll mute myself. And just wanted to see the microphone.
Well, we're getting Murray organized here. Does anyone have any questions? No questions so far?
No
Anyway,
questions.
good show today.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Ron?
Well, it's a bit spotty, but that's okay. What's your question, Murray?
I was just saying I'm trying out my Chromebook and I'm in a room where there's lots of people talking. So it doesn't hide the sound background very well. But anyway, my Chromebook.
I think we lost Murray. All right.
Oh, I'm here, but I've got a lot of noise, I think.
Yeah, it's lots of background noise.
Do you have your question, and we can maybe answer the question for you?
No, it's okay. I just wanted to see if mic worked. Sort of. It's a cheap $2 headset on my Chromebook.
All right. So for anyone that's interested, we have this is coming up to being a good time to purchase devices. There's a lot of supply. The economy is not very good. The manufacturer is really anxious to move their stock. Also, with Chromebooks now, we have a new designated Chromebook Plus, which is a new standard which we talk about in our video that came out. And of course, lots of different. Apple has their big event tomorrow or this evening, which will be probably announcing all the new iPads. So lots of happenings now. I think we're moving into I guess pretty soon we'll be into November. Black Friday will be coming, and lots of good times to be had. So if you are thinking about a good new computer, this is a good time to have a look at some of the videos that we've made and make some decisions.
Ron, I have a nice little rhyme. 'Tis the season for manufacturers. Yeah, and I just lost it. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, if you are interested in a new device, it's a good time for manufacturers to move their stock, and they're all trying to get us into further hock. Well, depends how you. Yeah, but if you need a device, then this is a good time to purchase it. It's a good time of the year. You'll see lots of sales coming up. We'll talk lots about that in the next month. Of course, we'll be reviewing a lot of the new stuff coming out. But you may want to. We'll be talking about this Thursday on our Thursday show. We're going to be talking about the new Apple event this evening and all the different products that are going to be available. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, well, to support that, I mentioned earlier that I bought a Galaxy 6 watch. Well, I got $150. Their list on a watch was $379. So that's one great discount. Now, I chose to spend $100 more to get 3 millimeters larger screen. And I was thinking that's $33 a milliliter times 47. What is that screen worth? So,
right. Yep, it's a good time to buy. I think you're going to see that doesn't matter what ecosystem you're going to go into. I want to just tell everybody, since we don't have a lot of questions right now, I just want to give my thoughts. I like Chromebooks. Hugh and I have done a lot of talking about Chromebooks, but I wanted to tell you about a time when I was back in Arizona at our computer club. And I did a big seminar on Chromebooks. And I remember that there were about 50 people that came to the seminar. And there was about 8 people there that brought brand new Chromebooks. They'd just been to Best Buy, went out and bought them and brought them to the seminar, right? And I asked those people, I said, they were just opening them up. It was an unboxing. So we got them all set up. But I asked those 8 people, I said, what type of cell phone do you have? And 7 of the 8 people said they had iPhones. And I thought, okay. And I said, well, why did you get a Chromebook? And they said, well, they don't really like Windows and they didn't understand Windows and they really sort of liked their Apple device. and they thought it would just, because I told them this is such a simple thing to use, a Chromebook is such a simple thing to use, that they went and bought a Chromebook and ended up at my seminar on Chromebooks. Now, I think that's probably not a good idea, because now they had, I like operating systems. Bob likes operating. We all like, us techie people like operating systems, but the average person just wants something to work, right? So they just want it to work, and they want stuff to be communicating. So these people had to know Windows. They then had to know the Apple software, and then they had to know the Chrome OS. It was really difficult for them. And I thought, the answer to that question, those people should be looking at staying with, if you have an iPhone, please stay within the Apple group of products, because things just work better for you. And the iPad is a great device that we don't talk a lot about. Richard, go ahead.
I was wondering sometime, I don't know, get a survey of who would like to talk about coffee machines, and because that's a techie question that you and I are dealing with.
Right.
Maybe there'd be a thing where you could make a session of 10 minutes of espresso and grinders and coffee and all of that good stuff. I don't know if there's any interest, but I would love it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about it. And actually, I'm into now roasting my own coffee. So I have a coffee roaster, and roasting coffee and how you roast coffee is fun too. So I think that may be coming up in the future, but it's one of the many things that I'm possibly. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the computers, you were talking about how popular Apple is. I don't know what happened when my kids are 52 and 54 now. And when they were in grade school, sixth, seventh grade, they had Commodore computers. And I remember you could bring one home. It was the desktop model, all built in one monitor and computer. But somehow Apple must have been watching, because not long after that, they put a deal with all the public schools to get Apple computers. I don't know, at a sale or whatever. And that is going to influence you for the rest of your life.
They did. But then of course that was very early on with the iPad. And then of course they developed a product called the iPhone. And that was the thing that really made Apple successful. And as I said, is that each month the sale in the United States of iPhone goes up. I mean, people are infatuated with the iPhone, and there's not a problem with that. It's a great phone, but it is like really, really. The article I read the other day said, "Is there a future for Android?" I don't know. I mean, it really is. Is that true? So, because each month the number of new iPhones goes up.
I wanted to add to that, because when Apple came out with their iPhone, it was really a flop. Didn't work very well, because they thought, there's just another app on a phone. Well, wireless technology is like any other technology. It's unique to its own. The wireless world is invisible. So what they did was, you have to give them credit. They bought Motorola, one of the kings in wireless technology.
Yeah. So Apple, well, they're smart people. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, right after Apple sold all those computers to the schools, about 2 years later, they came out with called the Newton, and that was an iPad, what is known now as an iPad. They took it off the market for almost 14 years before they brought the pad back. So they really were a company that was way out in front of everybody.
They really are. And even the watch, the Apple Watch is, if you have of course an iPhone, then you want to get the Apple Watch, because of course it pairs nicely with the iPhone, and it is leaps and bounds ahead of everything else.
So on that iPhone, how many items do they monitor from the body?
You mean the Apple Watch?
Yeah.
Oh, they have they've been in the forefront, particularly of cardiac monitoring, the irregular heart rate notification. They've been doing this way ahead of everybody else. Way ahead of everybody else.
What else do they do on that body monitoring?
Oh,
blood
they do
pressure.
Yeah, they don't do blood pressure, but
rate.
they do cardiac monitoring. They do stress monitoring. They do temperature monitoring. All sorts of different monitoring. Yeah, but they Samsung's pretty close now, and the Galaxy Watch 6, which Carl has, is pretty darn good. In fact, the thing that your watch will do is it'll measure your blood pressure, which is sort of cool. I'm sure you'll tell us all about that when you get it working, but it'll actually take your blood pressure, which the Apple Watch doesn't do. But it's amazing technology. Any more questions? Any other comments or questions?
Unusual that we don't have any questions.
Sort of a quiet, maybe since Hewie left. All right. Well, Dick, you had a question.
Unmute.
I'm noticing that Chromebooks seem to be taking over the schools. I don't know if they're displacing Apple, but they're certainly appearing in the upper levels beyond the elementary schools in public schools. And I'd also like to point out, when you talk about the number of iPhones, that you're only looking at the US. You should look at the world use of smartphones.
Right.
And I think you'll find that Android still exceeds the iPhones.
Well, as I said in the video, if you look at other countries, if you look at Europe, Asia, and the other, Australia, about 30%, it's about a third that are Apple or iPhones. It's not 2/3, right? It's about a third. So it is something about in the United States that they just love those iPhones. So that is an anomaly to that. And it's not bad. I mean, they're great phones. It's just, that's the way it is. And it's just crazy, right? Irving, go ahead.
You're muted, Irving.
Yeah.
Unmute.
Please excuse me for being lazy, but which of the sessions did you do the purchasing a Chromebook? While this program was on, my brother-in-law called me and he said, Best Buy told me to buy a Chromebook. So I said, well, don't be in a rush. I have to get you the information from Ron Gibson. And
Sure.
Can you refresh my memory? Which
I can't
session
tell you. It's if you just go to our Tech for Senior YouTube channel, you'll see it right there. It's right at the top. Okay.
Okay.
And if you have any trouble, just send me an email on that. But it's right up at the top, and it's right there for you. It's a publish.
Thanks.
This one on the iPhone, I haven't published it yet. There's a few little changes I got to make. I'm sort of hedging my bet before I publish it, because I want to see what's going on this evening with the big Apple event before I go and publish it. So I'm sort of hedging my bet a bit on that. Just a question.
Did you put the Apple event in the?
I'm not sure.
Did you put the Apple? Did you put the Apple event link in the on the chat?
I don't have the link for the Apple event, but it'll be on YouTube. Probably just Google, just go to YouTube and type Apple event, and you'll find it. Apple is going to broadcast it. Just a follow-up question. One of the interesting things, that you're absolutely right about iPads being given out into the school, but and that's how they started in the schools. But one of the things that happened was, when all this took place, is that Apple was not interested in network management and management of any sort of IT management as far as networks go. And this is where Google came along, and they basically ran all the networks in all the schools, because the schools all of a sudden had to have all these iPads, and they had to all talk to the internet, and they needed network management. And what happened was Google ran the whole thing, and Apple never wanted to get into network management. Now, and then as time went on, the Apple iPads were such, I think the the Los Angeles school district had an $8 million iPad budget. It was like, these things cost these school districts a fortune. And Google thought, well, can't we make a device that is a lot cheaper? And that's how the Chromebook got hatched. Was they said, yes, we can make it for about a third of the price, and we can run it on our network, and it will be a lot of savings for the school districts. And that essentially what has happened in the United States now is that the iPad programs have pretty much been replaced in a large part with Chromebooks because of the cost change that occurred. So yes, you're absolutely correct. That's sort of how it all occurred. Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, my son is a professor at college. He says that he would say maybe 99% of all the big universities use an iMac book. Almost every university student that he sees and he goes visiting in the United States use a MacBook Pro, basically, and it's almost like a requirement. And he said 99% of the students have iPhones. It's just a connection, and you were right, putting it all together, stay together. Because I do the Windows, I do the Chrome, I do the Linux, and I like to play with that. But he says stick with iPad because the iMac system, because he says it's the best, that he's using it, and he uses it even to compose music. So I would agree with you. The iMac system is pretty good.
Well, the other thing is if you are, we're obviously at a different age for going to university, but if you were giving some advice to people, is that universities often have their labs and their professors have requirements that you use certain, could be the Apple devices, and they say this is a requirement. If you want to take our physics courses, you need a MacBook Pro to do that, and they'll have the requirements for you. So you really want to check that. But a lot of people use Chromebooks at universities because they were trained. They went all through the school system using Chromebooks, and they then go to university and they want to use. And that's exactly how Chromebooks came to be as a commercial entity. They were in the school districts for 5 years before any were available at Best Buy. They weren't available commercially. And then people had 5 years of training on them, and they left and went to university and said, "Where's my Chromebook? I want a Chromebook." And that's why they started making Chromebooks that we could buy in the stores. That's how they all came about. Carl, one quick question before we go.
Yeah, I thought this would be appropriate for the last question. So back in July 4th, I asked you if there was a July 4th in Canada, and you said no, that's an American holiday. So I said, oh, so you go from July 3rd to the 5th in Canada? You said there's no July 4th.
Okay, right.
Okay, all right, you still don't get it. All right, so is there October 31 here in the States is Halloween? Do you have October 31 in Canada?
Sure you do. You have 31 days in every country.
Stop it, Bob. You're ruining my moment of infamy.
With that, we're going to stop the show. That's what we're going to do. We're going to say goodbye to everyone. I want to appreciate everyone coming today. As I said to you before, it is your coming and visiting us and staying with the show that keeps our enthusiasm up to keep making all these videos. I know that Bob and Huey and I and Ray put a lot of work into this, and also Bill and Chris and Jim and Chris Gould. They produce, spend a lot of time doing this. So we do this for your benefit. Thank you so much for watching us and supporting us. Maybe we'll see you on Thursday. That'll be great. Otherwise, we'll be back same time, same place next week. See you then. Bye now.
Bye.
And don't forget Boxing Day for sales in Canada.
Right.
Boxing Day.
Okay.